Hi guys, welcome back to FVSD Life. My name's Bronwyn. For today's video I'm joined here with my mummy, Deborah, and she'll be telling you her story about herself of being on sodium valproate. Next week it's Carers Week, so from Monday I'll be putting up videos to maximum about Carers Week. So yeah, if you enjoy this video, hit the thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel.
Hi, my name is Deborah, Bronwyn's mum. I've got epilepsy, which is why I took sodium valproate. I was harmed at birth. I wasn't given enough oxygen and some of my brain cells died behind the eyes, hypercatalysis and so forth. I was 12 and 13 when I got diagnosed because I was found after a grand mal seizure, blue in the face in my bedroom. I was sent to Musgrove Hospital in Taunton, where they they didn't want me to be epileptic. They decided the brain tumour was better, but the epilepsy reared its head, and that's what I had. And they didn't want me on sodium valproate. No one actually said to us why, but it was around the time when it was started the licensing process, so after the 10-year thing. Anyway, I missed an awful lot of school, so it's eventually decided that I should go to the Burden in Bristol when I hit 18 and had finished all my education process. So anyway, the Burden Neurological Hospital in Bristol, which is shut now, they specialised in epilepsy, and that included some of the brain operations. I was very lucky. It was the early years, and because of where the dead cells were, they could not operate on me. Anyway, it's during that period in the Burden that my parents were asked to go to a thing where they give evidence about sodium valproate. I was told it was in London. The doctors, it was like a big board, the doctors were behind the thing. My parents gave a very bad story about me. They'd sort of said I'd changed, my personality had altered, my abilities had altered and so forth. The doctors openly argued in front of my mother and father, saying, about whether or not they felt it should be used. There was one group that wanted it to be used, another group that didn't. Anyway, they had difficulty controlling my seizures, and to be honest, I'm not sure what was actually an epileptic seizure or what was harm done by the brain damage, but no one ever actually looked into that, and I never really thought about it. On sodium valproate, I was really doolally. They started me off on 2,500, which is the startings today. And every so often, when I had a group of major grand mals, they would bung me up another 500. So it kind of crept up over the years. So yeah, my parents were really at this time worried, but they took a further back seat as I began to take more, because I was in Bristol and they lived in the West Country near Bridgewater. Anyway, I've lost 2 babies. They're buried in Bristol, and I had a late miscarriage. Each time I expressed concerns related to sodium valproate and was told that there were no concerns regarding losing babies, although today we know that this is one of the side effects that are flagged regarding sodium valproate. And I hate using the word side effects regarding my children, but that's what they are. And I know many parents feel really guilty about this, and they shouldn't. At the end of the day, if the doctor hasn't given you information or inadequate information, it isn't your fault. It's the doctor's fault, and it's the doctor that needs to be pulled up for this, not the parent. It really isn't appropriate, and it's wrong that so many people should feel so upset about this. Anyway, all our children are teratogenic babies, which means that the drug medicine I took had crossed the placenta. So they're teratogens, and it's really important because many people refer to them as congenital abnormalities, which they are, but teratogen falls under a form of congenital abnormality, and it kind of loses the level of importance when you use congenital abnormalities as opposed to teratogen. So it's really important to understand that. Anyway, eventually I found myself taking 4,500 milligrams, and I became pregnant with my eldest daughter, Ronnie. I was put into hospital because of the complications in previous pregnancies, and I was there throughout the pregnancy. I had gestational diabetes, so that was an added complication to before, and I had hypertension. I had an awful lot of very difficult personal stuff, so it's kind of not to be surprised. However, during this, I didn't know, no one spoke to me. Concerns were raised as my blood sugars kept rising and the doctor had to keep changing it. No one told me this, but the nurses, I later found out a number of years ago that the nurses had been told to look through my belongings, talk to the other patients on my ward, etc., to find out if I was knocking back the sugar. And of course I wasn't, but this wasn't actually addressed, which is of a special concern to me today. Anyway, Ronnie, I had a seizure in hospital, Grand Mal. They popped me in one of those cot things, which I'm sure is not safe, in case I fell out of bed and harmed the baby. And I'm not sure which would have caused more harm if I had a seizure. But the neurologist came up and bunged me on another 500. So I was taking 5,000 milligrams a day. And I was taking 5,000 when I had Bramwin. So yeah, my children actually received very early diagnosis, and at the time again I was did not know that this was because I was so overprescribed on sodium valproate. Today it's 5,000 is the highest that's been found. I was kind of like, well, of course you got a disabled child. Of course it's fetal valproate syndrome. So my children were diagnosed. Ronnie, she was about a year old, and Bramwin was at birth. They both got diagnosed. So yeah, it's kind of given. Then with Bramwin, it was additionally a bit weird because when it went into Bramwin's pregnancy, I didn't know I was pregnant. She kind of showed the determination she has today in order to be born and break down all the barriers I had in place to pregnancy.
How far gone were you when you found out you were pregnant with me? Tell them how far gone you were.
4 months. I thought I put on weight. Well, I had. Yeah, I know. Anyway, I came off sodium valproate when I was 44, and it wasn't until 2015 that someone said to me that I had been prescribed an huge amount of sodium valproate, something I've never actually appreciated before, which is insane because I was involved with the valproate stakeholder, the European Medicines Agency and so forth, that Bramwin, that pathway. So to not actually have understood this until 2015 is simply completely nuts. But that was due to the fact that the Committee of Safety of Medicines, this is why it happened to me, Committee of Safety of Medicines, they were given some research from Sanofi that gave the levels that were tested on rats, and they worked against what they regard as the clinical dose and 3 times, 12 times, etc. And that information wasn't carried through to the prescribing professionals. So there were no guidance as to what was regarded as too much medication. And then I came off sodium valproate, and at some point I developed diabetes, which kind of isn't a surprise. I'd obviously put on weight and everything, taken on so much sodium valproate. And my body had probably suffered under taking so much medication, although this has not been addressed. I started taking metformin. Bramwyn was called she did an emergency prescription for me, went to pick it up, and the lady at Boots, the pharmacist, pulled her over and said, "Are you sure this is okay, her taking this much medicine?" And it kind of escalated from there. At that point, I'd learned about drug-induced mitochondrial dysfunction, as I'd been involved with some research and had been pushing to learn more. And I asked for a lactate test. I fought for 3 years for this. A wonderful neurologist put me forward for this. Apparently, I'm told they only do this test in ICU. I'm sure that can't be true, but anyway, this is what I was continually told. And the lactate levels came up at 3.9. Now, I'm told that anything above 2 is kind of grave concern. There's a mortality thing. If you're in ICU and you're above 2 or 2.2, it's regarded as you're at risk of, your mortality is in question, sort of thing, and you need the appropriate support. So yeah, they halved the metformin, and this is where it gets really confused in my notes. They halved the metformin. I dropped from 3.9 to 1.9. However, no one links the metformin to this drop, or they choose not to, and they refer to the diabetes. At the time, diabetes was shooting up through the roof. My poor children were watching the consequences. Actually got as high as 32 before people started really taking action. Unfortunately, today this is developing into a problem again. I'm still taking metformin at 1,500 a day, but and of course the insulin has been bumped up, but again this is at 14, so it's not too bad, but it's still a major concern. If you're diabetic, my eyes are affected and so forth, and the doctor is dragging her heels. And there's a lot of misconception about my feelings. Unfortunately, many people don't follow the guidance related to medicine, but I'm not going to talk about that here. That's getting a bit complicated. But myself, I'm not a happy bunny. I've been told that there are no pathways of care for me, as there are none in the UK, possibly the world, related to medicine toxicity. This is a huge patient and medicine safety issue that is ongoing. I'm not going to go into everything. My daughters witness a lot that they shouldn't have to. I'm not sure what else to say, but on Connect Support on YouTube, I'm going to be following up aspects of this with YouTube presentations there. Anyway, take care. And Bramwyn, I give to you.
And that was my mum, and I don't know if you noticed there's black and white blurs in the background. That was my cats. Yeah, they both decided to come in and say hello. And yeah, I'm going to wrap that up now. As I mentioned in the beginning, next week is Carers Week, so on Monday I'll be putting up my very first video for Carers Week. And yeah, so I'll see you all next week. And stay safe. Bye.